1 week before our wedding, I arrived home to find my fiancé in our bed with my maid of honor. He gave me a thorough examination before saying, "Look at you. Some ladies are designed to be wives, some are supposed to be the before photo." I simply walked out the door quietly. His phone is ringing constantly now. I just sent the pictures to the full wedding guest list, and the other groomsmen are calling to let him know about them. When I got home, the first thing I noticed was the silence. It was a booming silence, the sort that seems off, like an instrument missing from a well-known tune. In an attempt to surprise my fiancé, Alex, I had returned home early from a work trip. Our wedding took place a week ago. Away. A week. After months of a hectic tornado of wedding preparations, our apartment was completely quiet. No TV, no music on, just that humming, heavy quiet. With a contented secret smile, I set my suitcase down in the hallway. Most likely, he was dozing off in the bedroom. With a little flutter of joy in my heart, I kicked off my shoes and walked carefully down the hall. I pushed open the door to our bedroom, prepared to jump on the bed and kiss him awake. However, he wasn't sleeping, and he wasn't by himself. For a moment, my brain was unable to absorb the scene that was in front of me because it was so flawlessly, horrifically cliched. It was akin to viewing a subpar film. My fiancé, Alex, was there. He was the man I had. 6 years of love. And then there was Jessica, my maid of honor, my childhood best friend, and the one who was meant to be at my side at the altar. Additionally, they were in our bed, the one I had chosen for a whole month. Both of them froze, a humorous mask of disbelief covering their faces. A sudden intake of breath interrupted the silence. It could have been mine. I can't recall. The air became thick and syrupy, and time appeared to slow down. The first to get better was Alex. He rushed to get the bedsheet, the shock soon giving way to a look of displeasure. He didn't feel embarrassed. The fact that he had been caught annoyed him. He gazed at me as I stood there in my respectable office attire, my hair most likely a flight-related mess. He gave me a slow, thoughtful evaluation, looking me up and down before grinning. It was a patronizing, ruthless smile. "Well," he answered, his voice that was dripping with a nonchalant malice. "It's awkward." He glanced back at me after glancing at Jessica, who was now grinning. "What were you anticipating? Chloe? Really, take a look at you." He made a hazy move toward me. Some women are destined to be brides with everything that goes along with it, while others are destined to be the opposite image. The prior image. He had relegated me, our shared life, and our whole past to the past. And my best friend Jessica simply lay there, leaning on one elbow, observing me. With a disinterested chuckle, as if she were watching a television program that was only vaguely fascinating. Her eyes were devoid of regret. Only victory prevailed. Something broke inside of me. My heart wasn't in it. Not quite yet. Something else was involved. I had always made allowances for him because of that part of me. The section that had always thought the best of others. It simply broke. The world fell silent once more. The booming ceased in my ears. I didn't scream. I refrained from crying. Nothing was thrown by me. I simply glanced at both of them. These two individuals, whom I had trusted, became entangled in the wreckage of my existence. I studied the scene in all its details. I then purposefully and carefully shut the bedroom door, enclosing them in their treachery. The latch's gentle click was the loudest noise I've ever heard. I went away after turning around. Without looking, I went down the hallway, grabbed my shoes and suitcase, and left our apartment through the front door. Back. I wasn't a fiancé in mourning. I was a researcher about to do a thorough analysis of a new data set that I had discovered, which was both exciting and awful. I didn't visit any friends' homes. Not quite yet. I slept at a discreet, quiet hotel close to the airport. I sought a setting that was memory-free, pristine, and neutral. On the edge of the immaculately made bed, which seemed to be on a different planet than the one I had just left, I sat. As the astonishment subsided, the agony struck me like a physical blow, a punch to the stomach that left me gasping for air. For precisely 1 hour, I allowed myself to feel it. I sobbed. I let out an ugly cry. The kind of heartbreaking tears things make you feel raw and empty. I lamented the 6 years of our partnership. I lamented my friendship of 15 years. The bridal gown that was hanging in my wardrobe made me sad. I lamented the future I believed to be mine. Then I came to a halt. As I looked at my image in the mirror, I cleansed my face with cold water. "The before picture," I said in a whisper. Was I that? I no longer felt depressed at the concept. It infuriated me. An analytical, icy, and pure rage, because there had been a mistake in the scene. The betrayal wasn't the only thing. It was their assurance, their complete insecurity. The casual harshness of Alex. Jessica grinned smugly. They didn't seem to be merely having an affair. They seemed to have recently completed a profitable commercial transaction. They seemed to believe that I was merely collateral damage and that they had won something. That idea, that it was one suspicion that saved my life. My sorrow became a keen, determined interest. A research project was born out of my sadness. I pulled out my laptop. I worked as a data analyst on the side. My days were devoted to identifying patterns in intricate data sets. I did it well. I could visualize the narrative that the data conveyed, and I suddenly had a strong desire to learn more about the man I was meant to marry. Alex has been enjoying extraordinary luxury for the past year. He had left his secure position in finance to establish a private investment vehicle of his own. Apex Holdings is what he termed it. His new workplace was a posh one. He had a nice automobile that he rented. Additionally, he was always taking clients to upscale dining events. He asserted that he had a clever, covert investment plan that was producing enormous profits. This was demonstrated by the wedding we were organizing. Alleged achievement. With over 200 guests, it was an extravagant and absurdly costly event. He said he was footing the bill for everything. I had been engrossed in the wedding planning and my work, so I hadn't given his company a careful examination. I had faith in him. I had faith in him. That confidence was now a heap of ash. All of our shared internet accounts were still accessible to me. I began with the spreadsheets for the wedding. I examined his payments, the deposit, the caterer, the venue, and the band's payment. The first irregularity I noticed was when I looked at our shared bank account. It was not a company account that was making the payments. I didn't recognize the personal savings account from which they were flowing. I performed some research. I was able to obtain the assertions for this secret by using the information I already knew. Account. My blood froze at what I saw. Large, frequent wire transfers from dozens of different individuals were funding the account. And I knew the names. We were buddies with them. They were members of our family. They were on the guest list for our wedding. Ben was there, one of the groomsmen for Alex. My aunt and uncle were present. Our college pals were present. Apex Holdings was their investment, although there were no matching investments that were taken out of the account. There were no company transactions, no real estate transactions, and no stock purchases. A new investor would provide the funds, and then a portion of it would be distributed to an earlier investment as a dividend payment a few weeks later. A hedge fund wasn't involved. It wasn't a very smart way to invest. It was a Ponzi scheme. He was giving the appearance of amazing returns by utilizing funds from new investors to settle the debts of the previous ones. Additionally, he was taking a sizable portion of the top to finance his extravagant lifestyle, his luxury vehicle, and our magnificent nuptials. In order to convince more people that he was successful and to entice more of our friends and family to fall for his deception, the wedding itself was really a prop, a massive commercial. Jessica was more than simply his new partner. She was a partner in the shell business Apex Holdings, according to records I discovered. Together, they were in this. They had always intended to utilize our wedding as their last big fundraising event, but what happened? Go away. Immediately after my loss, a white-hot virtuous rage. Now, it was more than simply a broken heart. This has to do with the retirement fund for my aunt and uncle. My friend's life savings were at issue here. This concerned the financial killing of everyone who had faith in him and in me. I wasn't merely referred to as a before image by him. He had attempted to use me unintentionally as the face of a huge scam. In that antiseptic hotel room, my plan came to be as a quick and orderly act of justice rather than a sloppy act of retaliation. I didn't want to reveal their affair. That wasn't important. I intended to utilize their conceit as a weapon in order to reveal their wrongdoing. Megan, my real best friend, was the first person I called. I told her about the financial crimes, the disrespect, and the adultery. She said, "All right, we're going to burn him to the ground." What's the first step? After a little period of silence, finding an inside ally was the first step. I looked over the groomsmen's list. My gaze fell upon Ben. He was a kind man, rather unsophisticated, and I knew he had made a substantial financial investment with Alex. He was entitled to the truth. I texted him in a straightforward, cryptic way. "I need to discuss Alex with you, Ben. It concerns you and is urgent. Investment. Are you able to meet me?" With a worried reply, he consented right away. The following day, we met at a peaceful coffee shop. I presented the proof I had located. I showed him the money flow and the bank statements. I saw his expression shift from bewilderment to denial, to a profound, smoldering rage. "I placed all of my sons. I need your help, Ben," I replied. "College fund into that," he said in a low whisper, telling me it was a definite thing. "He told everyone that. I take it he sent you prospectuses and documents?" "I must see them. I have to paint a full picture of his deception." Ben without hesitation. He went home and sent me an email with every single document that Alex had ever sent him, including the professional-looking but utterly fraudulent earnings statements. The last piece of the puzzle was the prospectus for Apex Holdings. I worked like a woman possessed for the next 3 days, with Megan serving as my command center. I put all of this together into one terrible package, ordering me food, managing logistics, and acting as my irate alter ego, screaming at the computer screen to keep me composed and focused. A password-protected website. I posted a stunning, expertly taken engagement picture of Alex and me on the home page, with the words, "Chloe and Alex's wedding has been cancelled," underneath it. Please review the material below. Cautiously. The financial statements, which displayed the actual bank records, and the investor paperwork, which displayed the fraudulent perspectives he had distributed. The personal expenses, which included restaurant and travel agency receipts showing how he had used his clients' money to support his opulent lifestyle, and, lastly, the major players, which had it was a digital museum of their misdeeds, complete. With a picture of him and a picture of Jessica, identifying them as the only partners of Apex Holdings. The delivery system was the final stage. I went through the 250 people on our wedding guest list, made a master email list, and wrote an email that was composed, expert, and please accept my sincere apologies. I come to tell you, dear friends and family, that I had to call off my wedding to Alex. This week, I returned home early from a trip to find a circumstance that made me rethink all I believed I knew about the man I was going to marry, and in the process, I have discovered a serious and devastating financial scam involving many of you. I believe it is my moral obligation to disclose what I have discovered. For additional information, please visit the protected website below. I sincerely apologize that my faith in him has put your financial stability at risk. I sat there with my finger hovering over the send button, the point of no return, and I included the website address at the bottom. Alex had been messaging me during this period, and his texts were a strange combination of conceit and fake concern. I know you're upset, but you need to be an adult about this. My mom claimed you sounded weird on the phone, so don't make comments about us. We still have to deal with the wedding vendors. This is messy, Chloe. He didn't know what was going to happen. He believed he was in control and that the battle was about his infidelity. On Thursday night, precisely 1 week, I took a long breath once I had shut the bedroom door, and I thought of Ben's son's college fund, my aunt and uncle, and I pressed submit after he insulted me, attempting to minimize me, and I shut off my phone because I knew it would be chaotic, but I didn't want to be a part of it. I spent the night at Megan's. The retaliation was for him to suffer, not for me to witness. We watched old movies and ordered pizza. At around 10 o'clock at night, Megan's phone began to ring. It was a mutual buddy. Megan, oh my God, have you seen Chloe's email? Is it true? My husband and I have $50,000 with Alex. Megan calmly confirmed that it was real and suggested that she consult with a lawyer. It was put on speaker. The whole social circle we were a part of was collapsing in real time, and her phone didn't stop for the next 2 hours. The genuine satisfaction, Ben, on the other hand, was my insight into Alex's misery. He began sending me updates and is now contacting me. The other groomsmen are phoning him, and he's yelling and wondering how you found out. He doesn't know who else knows now. They're all freaking out. His parents just phoned me, and one of them is currently en route to Alex's office. This is crazy. They saw the email, and his dad, a certified public accountant, is going crazy. He called me and said Alex is a disgrace. Once more, he's crying and asks me whether we've spoken. He wants me to urge you to remove the website and promise to reimburse everyone's money. I had not destroyed him in a fit of furious wrath, he just doesn't know how. I simply sat there reading the words, feeling calm and silent. He arrived at Megan's apartment the following morning, and I had demolished him with my expertise and a well-researched, evidence-based report. He must have assumed I was there because he appeared to be a ghost, his pricey hair in disarray, and his face bloated and pale from sobbing. In under 12 hours, he had lost everything. Megan opened the door and stated, "You are not welcome here, Alex," in a cold voice. "I need to see her," he replied. Pleaded, attempting to see inside the apartment past her. "Please, Chloe. I apologize. I'm so sorry. It was an error, every single one of them." I approached the door and stood next to Megan, staring at this devastated man. The arrogant, self-assured fiancé who had discarded him was nowhere to be seen. "You're not sorry you did it, Alex," I said steadily a few days ago. "You're just sorry you got caught." "I promise not to." He sobbed. "I cherish you. You were always the one. Jessica was in a foolish affair and a mistake." This isn't what I told him about Jessica, and his face dropped. This was so much more than that, he was beginning to realize. My aunt and uncle are the subject of this. It has to do with Ben's son. You lied to many of our pals while looking them in the eye. You weren't simply unfaithful to me. Everyone who trusted you was deceived by you. Unable to speak, he only shook his head. I spoke softly, but with more weight than a shout. "You told me I was a before picture. You were correct. Yes, I am. Before you attempted to turn me into a nice accessory, I was who I am now. Before I made myself smaller to make you feel larger, I was the person I am now. Additionally, you're going to start a new life, the one With no friends, no money, and a lot of legal issues. Your after photo is that. You ought to be grinning. It's something you deserve. Please, I shut the door on his sputtering, pitiful voice. Although the aftermath was drawn out and disorganized, I was ready for it. A class action lawsuit by one of the investors, Ben. The police intervened. Jessica and Alex were both taken into custody. Their faces were everywhere. Local news. I collaborated with the attorneys, contributing all of my research. In the case against them, I was called as the primary witness. I became passionate about forensic accounting as a result. The woman he had made fun of earlier had rekindled her passion. It wasn't an art or adventure. It was an uncovering the reality concealed within the figures. A year has passed. Both Jessica and Alex accepted plea bargains. Everything was lost for them. Their embarrassment is well known. I launched my own financial consulting business. Investigative organization. I assist those who have fallen prey to deception. My company is flourishing. Not only am I a survivor, but I'm also an advocate. I've changed. Image or the subsequent image. For the first time in ages, I'm simply the image, whole, and ultimately concentrated. And I've never had a stronger sense of success, a wife, and a partner. Not at all, for myself, for him.